When I was in Bellarmine, I was focused on science. I was thinking about going into medicine. But looking back, I think the classes I got the most out of were my English classes and experiencing different worlds through books and learning about different ways of seeing things, how to think about the world. It was at Bellarmine the first time that I heard the concept of man for others. But I don't think I really embodied it until when I came back from my Doctors Without Borders mission in Liberia. I started off working in a pretty peaceful 90-bed hospital in a town called Harper, and it was challenging. I was still doing things that I had never had to do before, but things got worse in Liberia. We had to evacuate that project. We worked in a place called Bong County where 50,000 people who were internally displaced in Liberia because of the fighting in the Civil War were living in essentially a refugee camp. When the fighting flared up even more, we had to abandon that project because the rebel troops were closing in on it, and so we pulled our project back to Monrovia. As the fighting came closer in to the city and there was falling bullets and mortar shells, I was probably working 18 hours a day. We slept 4 people on mattresses on the floor of a room where we had piled up sandbags outside to form like a bunker so that shrapnel or stray bullets didn't come in through the window. Very intense, the work, and exhausting, but so incredibly necessary to feel like if I wasn't there, these people just would be getting no medical care. When I finished college, my dad brought me on a father-son bonding trip to Ecuador. We went to the Ecuadorian Amazon and did a riverboat cruise there and saw a little bit of how the natives live. That was one of my exposures that really gave me a sense about how privileged we were living in the United States, and particularly here in Silicon Valley. And I think it helped plant the seeds for finding a way to give back and do something with all of that privilege. I did 3 projects with Doctors Without Borders, 3 missions. The first 6 months in northern Uganda, sleeping sickness and cholera. And then I did a 1-month mission in Guatemala after Hurricane Mitch in 1998. Working in the developing world was, because the technology was limited and the resources were limited, it was incredibly challenging, and it just pushed me to my limits. I had to really do things that I would never have to do here in the United States. One of the things I found most rewarding has been the opportunity to live in a community, get to know the people, get to know the culture. I think it's made me a better person to sort of have a perspective of where other people in the world are coming from. Most of my patients are adults these days. I'm a family physician and I practice and teach with the Stanford O'Connor Family Medicine Residency Program. When people hear about the work that I've done overseas with Doctors Without Borders, they often ask me, isn't it boring to be a family doctor here in San Jose when you're taking care of high blood pressure and removing ingrown toenails and doing preventive health visits? And I don't feel that at all. I think the rewards are very different. I'm not saving lives every day like I might have been during the height of the war in Monrovia. But the things I find rewarding in my work now is the longitudinal relationship with my patients, really getting to know them and their families over time, and being there for their healthcare needs. And then I also enjoy being able to teach the next generation of physicians to make sure that they're better doctors. I had all these choices, I had all this freedom, and I saw these populations where they just had none of that. They were struggling to get to their next meal or worried about being caught up in the war, and they didn't have the opportunities to do the things that I had the choices to do. And so that made me feel like it was an obligation to share some of that fortune that I had with others. It is spiritual. I came back from Liberia, and the best way I could describe it is that I was doing God's work. I had been blessed by all these privileges that I've been given, and I need to give them back. So I guess that's my form of religion.